What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. So going over branded. The ban list could have dropped earlier today, but if not, it most likely will be dropping Monday. We can't update this list afterwards. I just want to be posting you guys stuff consistently. So this is going to be the brand list I have been playing, post ban list. We are starting off with a 3 Albaz. Not much to say about this. You want to always play 3 of it. Post ban list, we're probably going to be playing the same. We're playing the 3 Albion. We have cut down to this before when we were on 40 cards or 42 cards, but we're on 45 right now, so being able to play 3 of them and just see it consistency is kind of the key point. We are on the 2 copies of Cartesia alongside the 2 copies of Quem. I know a lot of players are bumping up Cartesia to 3. We have not done that, and I don't think it's really necessary. I don't think that it's needed to be played in the deck. If Brand Infusion does get hit on the list, we could definitely bump this up to 3. So if you want to pick it up before the list, definitely do that. And then double Quem, I think this is absolutely necessary in the deck. It is coming out in a reprint in the Mega Tins at the end of the month, so definitely pick up your copy then if you can't afford it now. We still are on the triple copies of the Aluber, being able to search. Once again, if this Brand Infusion gets hit on the list, we can see this being cut down and maybe playing more copies of Quem. Definitely an absolutely option that is going to be seen. If Brand does get hit on the list, I will be uploading a different deck, so stay tuned for that. We are playing the 1 Tragedy and the double copies of Mercurier. I feel like this is still very good in the 45 card build. We're not playing Allure of Darkness, which is important, but if you do want to play that, you definitely can bump up the Tragedy to 2 as well. I like just being able to have this in the hand and then being able to search it for the second. Being able to use 2 of them can be quite nice, not having to rely on Sanctifier bringing it back out. Just can be quite helpful. We also are playing Gold Sark, so Gold Sark being able to banish that, get the search, and then also have 1 to search. Is quite nice. For the last 3 monsters, we are playing the 1 Lubellion, the 1 Soranier, and the 1 Gang Puppet Nightmare. You can bump this up to 3 if you want to play some more copies. I personally wouldn't play 3 of it. I'd play 2 of this, 1 copy of Magnamut if you want to play more high spirits. But we're only playing 1 high spirit, so just the 1 ratio is fine. I do think this card is going to get hit. It definitely should get hit. I don't think Sanctifier really is necessarily that of a problem. For the spells, we have the 3 branded fusions, the 3 branded openings, the 3 branded deployment, and the 1 high spirit, 1 in red, and 1 lost. Not much has changed here. People want this card banned. I don't think Magical Meltdown needs to be banned. It does let you search and kind of stop the interaction. But if we just remove Sanctifier, which is probably most likely going to happen, I think that Ido and the Gaming Puppet would have been a better hit because I like how Sanctifier works. Being able to summon an Albaz during your opponent's turn as an interruption can be quite nice. But makes more sense just to hit the problematic card, which is the Sanctifier there. But one Sanctifier gets hit, lost isn't really that much of a problem. Mirror Jade on summon is not going to be the biggest issue. But that's really it for the branding cards. We are playing the Board Breaker approach, so we are playing the triple copies of Ridden Droplets, triple copies of Dark Ruler. We're still in the 2 Thrust and the 2 Talents. I have always been a big believer of playing a correct ratio, having 2 cards in your deck to be able to search. If you have this in hand and a Thrust, then obviously you are going to be able to use this, search for another card, or setting another trap, or setting your trap, which you have different targets for. Having to rely on Thrust to add a copy of Talents when you maybe have 2 options you want to add definitely doesn't feel good. And in this deck, you have lots of ways to discard cards, so being able to discard and having a second use for the card just feels a little bit better. So if I have both these in hand and I just don't want to set the trap, I can just discard the copy of Talents, use Thrust to search for the Talents, just stuff like that I prefer in my deck building. But you can definitely play 3 Thrust if you want to. It searches for Brand Infusion and gets Dark Ruler no more as well. We are playing the 1 Gold Sark and the 1 King Sark. 1 Gold Sark and 1 Call with the Grave. This card stops Ash Blossom, which is just the most problematic card for this deck. And then we also are playing for the 2 last traps. We're playing the 1 copy of Retribution and the 1 copy of Duplication. We're not on Sword. I still feel like that card is kind of mid. If you're playing 60 cards, you definitely can add it in. But at that point, you're just throwing in extra cards for no reason at 45. So for the extra deck, we are playing the double copies of Mirror Jade, the double copies of Albion, the 1 copy of Albion, the Sanctifier Dragon. This is going to go very, very soon, I have a feeling. And the 1 copy of Rinbrum, the 1 copy of Titaniclad, and the 1 copy of Lubellion. We are still playing the 1 copy of Albalentis. This is just for Tempai. It does come up in some matches against Snake Eyes as well, being able to take their Flamberge. And under Lost, they won't be able to respond with their Flamers, which I guess can come up. But other than that, it's also just a send any other time. Titaniclad's really cool, being able to summon it as well as dump it, search, summon it with Quem. Rinbrum is Rinbrum, and then of course this card's gone. If this deck does get hit and we do lose Albion, the deck's not going to be dead. We will be able to play different cards, like most likely going back to Ad Libitum and the Masquerade. Like this deck can still put up like double Masquerade, Ad Lib, bring back a Mirror Jade, and that's going to be quite hard for a lot of decks to beat these days if they don't have like outs for it. So definitely, plausible that the deck can still get played if we do get an Albion hit. That's it for the branded or the Albaz related fusions. We now have the double copies of Granganol, the one copy of Queritus. Double Gran has been a standard thing for quite some time now. But if you don't want to play two of it, you can play really any other monster you want. You can just put the copy of Masquerade in. We are playing the one Guardian Chimera, the one Dragos Despia, and the one Boreal Furious. These are like your flex spots. I think the Guardian Chimera is definitely mandatory. Dragos Despia and Boreal Furious. I feel like Boreal Furious is more mandatory than Dragos Despia. A lot of times when you get shifted, you can end on this and still be able to do something, which is kind of the important part. And then Boreal Furious is to be able to pop multiple cards. Branded Opening also has some really cool interaction with this as well. So cool to kind of mention it. Helps pop the Tempai Field spell. Now, I'm not going to be showing off the side deck because the side deck does change depending on what I'm really doing. But I do want to bring up a card from the side deck, which I think that everyone should pick up. Just going to be bringing out some cards here. It's going to be a copy of Gizmek Uka here. So this card is going to be for the Fiendsmith matchup. So what's really cool with this card is what allows you to do is when your opponent special summons with the Requiem, this guy here, when it uses this effect, tributes itself off to summon out a copy of the Fiendsmith Engraver from the deck. You can actually activate this in the hand, summon itself out, activate the effect, target the Engraver, and you can summon out a copy of Cartesia, summon out a copy of Quem, or you can summon out a copy of the Sword Soul Ecclesia one. And so normally you want to go for the copy of Quem or the Sword Soul Ecclesia. But this one, in this build, you're going to be able to activate the effect, dump the copy of Albaz, and whenever they want to go up into something else, you're going to activate the Quem, summon with the copy of Albaz, discard a card in your hand, then use itself plus itself if they summon with the sequence. They kind of are forced to get rid of the Quem. So if they are playing the copy of Necrosoul Princess, and that's the only line to go for the Fiendsmith stuff, they have to give another body on the field, because then they can't just send the Requiem to the graveyard to destroy the Quem. And they have to have another body to link up in the sequence. So a lot of times they don't want to be linking that way. They want to be able to go into the Princess and then have the Princess be one of their bodies. Then they can put the Requiem back in the extra deck with the Engraver, summon it out, go into the sequence. So if they do have to go for that line, when they summon the sequence here, you're going to be able to activate the effect, summon out the copy of the Albaz. Albaz will activate the effect, sending a card from the graveyard, using the sequence in itself to go for a Mirror Jade, and then you already have a body on the field alongside like this. Normally this is not going to do very much for you otherwise. It's just a really cool interaction that you can do if you want to be playing it. It's if Fiendsmith does not get hit, definitely pick up your copies of Gizmek Uka if you want to be playing that. There's some really weird things it can do as well. It can summon with the copy of the Light Barrier Statue if you want to. It does hurt your deck quite a bit, making you forced to play into lights, which a lot of your deck isn't. But you can still play, if you have copies of Branded Fusion, or if you have Branded Openings, you will still be able to summon, you'll be able to summon with the copies of Cartesia, the Quem, and then, of course, if you have Branded Fusion, you can go for your copies of this, and then, of course, it'll lead you into, some weird lines of going for the Albion. But you can always just, lock them from summoning, and then have Branded Fusion, use Branded Fusion, or the copy of Cartesia to go into the Granganol, or the copy of Lubellion using I guess you can't use the barrier on the field, but you have different ways to get into that, which is kind of the important part. Just being able to use it, you can go into the Lubellion, which can then go up into a Sanctifier, and then you just have different lines you can play. But just definitely, kind of important to note that you can play this card, and you definitely should pick this up. But if you guys want to know anything else, let me know in the comment section down below. Hopefully the ban list doesn't hit this deck too hard, but if it does, make sure you stay tuned for a deck profile. It's going to be updated quite a bit. Well, as soon as the ban list drops, within the week, we'll have a new updated branded Despia list. So don't forget to stay safe. Peace.